Hey everyone! Today we're going to show you the power of an amazing new material that we've created for you. This material utilizes the eyeball tracking feature that was recently released in Lens Studio, and it's very customizable. We know that you will see the great potential in it. The eyeball material. So let's get to it and let's build this lens. Before we begin, I believe it will be helpful to break down the anatomy of an eye to ensure we are all on the same page when it comes to terminology. If we take a look at an eye, we can break it down into three main parts. The sclera, which can be referred to as the white of the eyes, the pupil, the dark center that contracts and expands, and the iris, the kaleidoscope-like colorful surroundings of the pupil. All of these parts of the eye are customizable in this material, and it will be helpful to remember some of these terms in modifying it. So let's construct our lens. Let's open Lens Studio and create a new project. The first thing we want to do is add the eyeballs object. Let's go to the object panel, search for eyeballs, and then scroll down and click eyeballs to add it to the scene. You will notice that under each eye there are two objects, the sclera and the choroid. For this material, we do not need the choroid objects, so let's remove those. Great. Next, let's import the graph eyeball material we downloaded so we can apply it to our eyeballs object. Let's navigate to the location of the downloaded material and drag and drop it into the resources panel. Cool. Now let's apply the new material to the eyeball objects. We can simply drag and drop the new material onto the objects. But we have an obvious problem. The eyeballs don't exactly look like they're sitting inside the face. So let's fix that. Let's navigate back to the Object panel and add a Face Mesh effect to our model. In the Object panel, click Add New, search for Face Mesh, and click Face Mesh. Now that the Face Mesh object is added to the scene, we need to assign an occluder material to it in order to mask all the geometry that exists behind the object. This will give us the appearance of the eyeball object sitting inside the user's face. So let's go to the Resources tab, click Add New, search for the occluder material, and click it. Great. Now let's drag the occluder material onto the face mesh to apply it. There we go. We're all set up. We have a pair of realistic eyes, tracking well and occluded by a face mesh. Let's dig into the material to check out its settings. Click the graph eyeball material in the resources panel to access its properties in the inspector. Let's walk through each of these settings one by one to show you what this material is capable of. Below you have color options for the pupil, inner iris, outer iris, and sclera. Let's play around with these settings for a bit to see how they affect the look of our eyeballs. Notice that there are no limitations. You can make the pupil purple and make your eyeballs as realistic or creative as you would like. Cool! If we look down a little further, we can change the pupil type from human to cat. When it's set to cat, the pupil will become more vertical as its size gets smaller. Below that, we have different scale options for the pupils and the iris. Pushing those values around will have a dramatic effect on the look of our eyeball. As we go further, we have a slider that controls the balance of the two iris colors defined above. You can see the ratio of the colors change as I slide back and forth. And below, we have iris texture density. If I slide all the way to the left, I get something resembling a cartoon character. And as I slide to the right, something more realistic. And let's not forget that so much of the look of an eye is defined by the environment it's reflecting. So let's open the environment map in the object panel and use the rotation slider to modify the environment the eyeballs are reflecting. You can even change the environment itself in these two slots. Okay, so now that we have a good breakdown of how this material works, let's design something. Let's start a new lens. I'm going to add the eyeballs object and then import all of my assets, including the graph eyeball material. Okay, great. Next, I'll add the face mesh object and apply the occluder material to it. Cool. Now I'll modify my eyeball material to get something cool looking using the sliders and the attributes I explained earlier. Nice. Let's replace some of these textures as well. I made a new pupil texture and a new sclera texture, So let's drag and drop them into place. Wow, that looks money! Okay, let's do something crazy. Let's duplicate some of the sclera objects and place them around the user's head. There we go. Okay, let's import the speakeasy environment map to get some different kind of reflections. And let's rotate it a bit in the environment light object. Okay, cool. So let's wrap this up. Let's add a screen image with a little vignette I made. Set it to stretch so it covers the entire screen. And let's add some color correction so it all sits nicely together. And that's it. That's our finished lens. The graph eyeball material is extremely powerful, and it's very simple to use. If you want to look under the hood and learn how this material works, feel free to open the material editor and dig around. So take advantage of it. Get creative, explore the properties of the graph eyeball material, and maybe even dig into the material editor to make something unique of your own, or just learn from it. There's a lot more we can explore with Lens Studio to bring your art to life in AR. So check out the different templates we have to learn more about what you can do.